The stars looked the same from the command bridge of the Viridian warship. Commander Lyra stood tall, her blue skin reflecting the glow from the monitor screens. Her 4 eyes scanned the reports coming in about the new planet they had found. The small blue world called Earth was next on their list for conquest. "Commander, I must speak with you," said Intelligence Chief Marzak. His voice was low and worried as he approached her station. "The data from our scout ships shows unusual patterns from this planet." Commander Lyra turned to face him. Her species did not smile often, but she made the expression anyway, having learned it helped when dealing with nervous officers. "What concerns you about such a small world, Marzak? Their technology is primitive. They have only reached their own moon. They still burn fossil fuels." Marzak placed a data pad on the console between them. The screen showed various readings from Earth's communications, military movements, and energy signatures. "Look here and here," he said, pointing to irregular patterns in the data. "Their defense systems show strange gaps. Their military forces are spread too thin, and yet they survive. They should have destroyed themselves in nuclear war decades ago, according to our models of species development." Lyra waved her hand, dismissively. "Perhaps they are simply lucky, or perhaps they are smarter than we give them credit for. But they are not a threat to the Viridian Empire." "I believe Earth is a trap," Marzak said firmly. "We should avoid this system and move on to the next target." The command room went quiet. No one questioned Commander Lyra's decisions. In 20 years of leading the Empire's expansion, she had conquered over 300 planets without a single defeat. "Your concerns are noted," she said coldly. "But we will proceed as planned. Ambassador Zex will lead the diplomatic team for first contact. If the humans resist, we will show them our power. Prepare the fleet for arrival in their system in 3 days." Marzak bowed his head in respect, but his eyes showed his disagreement. "As you command." On Earth, inside the mountain base in Colorado, General Susan Rogers studied the satellite images. On her screen, the strange objects approaching Earth had first been spotted near Neptune 2 days ago. They moved faster than any human spacecraft could travel. "Captain Miller, what's your status?" she asked through her headset. Frank Miller's voice came through clearly as he piloted his spacecraft in Earth's upper atmosphere. "All systems normal, General. The Defender is ready for patrol duty. No unusual activity in my sector yet." "Good. Stay alert. Our visitors will likely make contact soon." General Rogers turned to the team of scientists and military officers in the control room. "Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've prepared for since Roswell is here. Activate Operation Honeypot. All stations go to yellow alert. Dr. Alan Price, the lead scientist for the Alien Technology Division, looked nervous but excited. "Do you think they'll fall for it? Our defensive systems are still untested against their level of technology." "They'll fall for it," Rogers said confidently. "They always do. Every species that has come here thinking Earth is easy prey has made the same mistake. They see what they expect to see, a divided planet with primitive technology. And they don't see what we've built," said Lieutenant Grace Williams, who ran the analysis team. She typed commands into her console, activating hidden systems across the planet. Defense grid powering up. All sensors masked. Fake data streams active. Outside Denver, in what appeared to be ordinary farmland, the ground began to move. A large section of Earth slid aside, revealing a landing pad designed for spacecraft much larger than anything humans had publicly acknowledged building. Similar facilities opened in remote locations across the planet, in the Australian outback, the Siberian plains, the Amazon jungle, and the Sahara Desert. Colonel John Baker watched the preparations from his position at the Military Coordination Desk. "All Special Forces teams are in position, General. The alien technology weapons are distributed and ready. Remember, everyone," General Rogers said. "We show them only what we want them to see. As far as they know, we're still arguing about climate change and fighting small wars over oil. They must not suspect what we really have until it's too late for them to respond." In space, Captain Frank Miller saw them first. 6 large ships appeared suddenly, dropping out of what his instruments registered as some kind of faster-than-light travel. The vessels were smooth and silver, shaped like arrowheads, and each one was larger than an aircraft carrier. "General, we have company," he reported calmly. 6 vessels, unknown configuration, high orbit over the Pacific. They're bigger than anything we've got, at least anything in the public record. "Hold position, Captain," Rogers ordered. "Do not engage. Act surprised and a little frightened if they contact you." "Yes, ma'am," Miller replied with a small smile. "I'll try to. Remember my acting classes. It didn't take long." The alien ships broadcast on all radio frequencies in perfect English. "Attention, people of Earth. We are representatives of the Viridian Empire, rulers of 300 worlds across this galactic sector. We come in peace to discuss your integration into our civilization. Please direct us to your planetary leaders." Miller responded as instructed. "This is Captain Frank Miller of Earth Space Command. Your presence is unexpected. We have no protocol for alien contact. Please stand by while I contact my superiors." In her ship, Commander Lyra listened to the human's response and nodded with satisfaction. "They sound appropriately overwhelmed, Ambassador Zex. You may proceed with the contact mission." Ambassador Zex, tall and thin with the same blue skin, as all Viridians, bowed slightly. "We will show them the benefits of joining our empire peacefully. The cultural evaluation team suggests they will be impressed by a display of our technology. Proceed with caution," Intelligence Chief Marzak warned. "Something about this planet does not feel right." "Your concerns are becoming tiresome, Marzak," Lyra said sharply. "These humans have only primitive nuclear weapons and basic spaceflight capability. Their most advanced artificial intelligence is less complex than our food preparation units." "As you wish, Commander," Marzak said. But he quietly ordered his intelligence operatives to conduct deeper scans of the planet while the diplomatic mission proceeded. On Earth, General Rogers addressed the United World Defense Council via secure video link. Representatives from every major nation watched as she outlined the situation. "The aliens call themselves the Viridian Empire. Based on our analysis of their communication patterns and ship design, they match the description given to us by the Centauri refugees we've been sheltering since 2017. These are conquerors, not explorers." "Are our defenses ready?" asked the Chinese representative. "Yes," Rogers confirmed. "Thanks to the technology shared by the Centauri and the Rigelians, we can counter their weapons. But they must not suspect our true capabilities until they commit to hostile action. We need them to make the first move." "Operation Honeypot is now active," she continued. "We will appear weak, divided, and technologically inferior. We will let them land their diplomatic team. We will negotiate in apparent good faith, and we will wait for them to make their mistake." Ambassador Zex's shuttle descended toward the key landing area outside Denver. He looked out at the blue sky and green fields below, seeing nothing that suggested danger. Just another primitive world ready to join the Empire. The trap was set. Earth waited. Ambassador Zex stepped onto Earth soil with what his species considered a smile. The thin blue skin around his mouth stretched to reveal teeth that looked too perfect to be natural. Behind him, 6 Viridian guards formed a protective line, their weapons held casually but ready for use. The landing area outside Denver looked ordinary enough. Fields of grass, mountains in the distance, and a small group of humans waiting beside a collection of primitive ground vehicles. Zex noted with satisfaction that none of the vehicles appeared to be armed. "Greetings, people of Earth," Zex said through his translation device. "I am Ambassador Zex of the Viridian Empire. We bring you the opportunity to join our galactic family." Dr. Alan Price stepped forward from the human delegation. He was a middle-aged man with graying hair and glasses that he didn't actually need. The glasses were part of the act, making him look more scholarly and less threatening. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Zex. I am Dr. Alan Price, Scientific Advisor to the United Nations. We are honored by your visit." He gestured to the people behind him. "These are representatives from our world's major governments. We have many questions about your empire." "All will be answered in time," Zex said. his voice smooth and confident. First, we would like to establish a base of operations here. From there, we can begin the integration process. Your world has much to gain from joining us. Lieutenant Grace Williams stood near the back of the human group, looking appropriately impressed and a little afraid. In reality, she was recording and analyzing everything about the aliens, their movements, technology, even their breathing patterns. The small pin on her jacket contained sensors more advanced than anything the Viridians would expect humans to possess. "We have prepared a facility for your delegation," Dr. Price said. "It's not far from here. Perhaps you would like to rest after your journey." "That won't be necessary," Zex replied. "My species requires little rest compared to yours. We would prefer to begin discussions immediately." High above Earth, Commander Lyra watched the meeting through the ambassador's communication feed. She turned to Intelligence Chief Marzak, who stood silently on the bridge. "You see? They are in awe of us. This will be one of our easier conquests." Marzak pointed to one of the monitor screens. "Our deep scans are being blocked in certain areas. That should not be possible with their level of technology. It's likely natural interference from their mineral deposits or atmospheric conditions," Lyra said dismissively. "Continue the standard conquest protocol." "As you command," Marzak said. But he quietly doubled the number of scan probes directed at Earth's surface. In the underground facility, 500 feet below the meeting site, General Susan Rogers watched the aliens through hidden cameras. Beside her, Colonel John Baker monitored the positions of all Viridian ships in orbit. "They're following the standard first contact procedure," Rogers observed, "just like the Centauri refugees said they would." "Should we let them see the facility?" Baker asked. "Not yet. For now, we take them to the decoy base." She pressed a button on her console. "Dr. Price, proceed with Phase 2. Above ground, Dr. Price gestured toward the waiting vehicles. "Please, Ambassador, this way. Our facility is a short distance from here." The vehicles moved along a smooth highway toward what appeared to be an ordinary government research complex. The buildings were modern but not impressive by galactic standards. As they drove, Dr. Price pointed out features of human civilization that reinforced the impression of a developing but not advanced society. "Our power still comes mainly from burning fossil fuels, though we're working on cleaner alternatives," he explained. "Our medical technology can cure many diseases, but we still struggle with cancer and genetic disorders." Ambassador Zex nodded politely, noting these weaknesses in his mental report. Everything he saw confirmed what the Viridian scouts had reported. Earth was ripe for conquest. The convoy arrived at the research facility, passing through security gates that would appear substantial to humans, but were laughably simple by Viridian standards. Inside, they were led to a conference room with a large table and basic presentation technology. "We'll begin with an exchange of cultural information," Dr. Price suggested. "Perhaps you could tell us about your empire, and we can share details about Earth." "An excellent suggestion," Zex agreed. He activated a small device that projected a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with the Viridian territory highlighted in blue. "Our empire spans this entire region. Over 300 worlds benefit from our protection and guidance." What Zex didn't realize was that every word and image was being analyzed in the real command center below. Lieutenant Williams sat at an advanced computer system, comparing the Viridian star maps to information provided by the alien refugees Earth had sheltered. "They're expanding faster than the Centauri warned us," she told General Rogers. "They've added at least 20 new systems since the refugees escaped." "Are they in contact with their ships?" Rogers asked. "Yes, constant communication. We're recording and decrypting it all." Colonel Baker pointed to another screen showing orbital tracking data. "The Viridians have positioned their ships in a standard invasion formation. They're preparing for a show of force." "Good," Rogers said with a grim smile. "Let them make the first hostile move. It makes the political fallout simpler." Back in the conference room, Dr. Price was sharing carefully selected information about Earth, emphasizing divisions between nations, resource limitations, and technological challenges that humans had supposedly not overcome. "As you can see, Ambassador, we still struggle with unity. Our nations compete more than they cooperate. The Viridian Empire can help with that, Zex said smoothly. Under our guidance, planetary governments find it much easier to work together toward common goals. That sounds wonderful, Dr. Price replied, looking appropriately impressed. How do you typically begin this process of guidance? In orbit, Commander Lyra made her decision. The humans are properly awed by our technology and power. Now is the time for a small demonstration. Target one of their communication satellites. Nothing too important, just enough to show our capabilities. A Viridian cruiser fired a precision energy beam at an Earth communications satellite. The satellite exploded silently in space. In the buying conference room, a staff member hurried in and whispered urgently to Dr. Price. He allowed his face to show alarm and concern. Ambassador, one of our satellites has just been destroyed. Do you know anything about this? Zex maintained a calm expression. A regrettable necessity. Commander Lyra wished to demonstrate the seriousness of our offer. Your world will prosper under Viridian protection, but resistance would be unwise. I see, Dr. Price said, his voice shaking slightly. A perfect performance. This is most disturbing. I must consult with my superiors immediately. In the real command center below, General Rogers smiled. They took the bait. Initiate Phoenix Protocol. Colonel Baker pressed a sequence of codes into his console. Phoenix Protocol active. All units ready for your command. Let's show our visitors. What happens when you threaten Earth, Rogers said. Activate Defensive Grid Sector 3 only. Let's not reveal everything at once. Hundreds of miles above, the Viridian cruiser that had destroyed the satellite suddenly lost power. Its lights flickered and died. Its engines shut down, and its communications went silent. On Commander Lyra's flagship, alarms began to sound. Commander, an officer called out. We've lost contact with the Starfire. Intelligence Chief Marzak moved quickly to a monitoring station. It appears to be experiencing a complete power failure, but our scans detect no weapons fire. That's impossible, Lyra said. Our ships cannot simply lose power. There must be an explanation. In the false conference room, Ambassador Zex received an urgent message through his personal communicator. He tried to maintain his composure, but Dr. Price noticed the change in his demeanor. Is something wrong, Ambassador? A minor technical issue with one of our vessels, Zex said smoothly. Nothing to concern yourselves with. Dr. Price nodded sympathetically. Space travel must present many challenges, even for an advanced civilization, like yours. The trap had been sprung. Earth had revealed just a fraction of its true power, and the Viridian Empire was about to learn why they should have heeded the warning. Commander Lyra paced the bridge of her flagship. 3 hours had passed since the Starfire cruiser lost power, and their attempts to restore communications had failed. Something was very wrong. Scan the planet again, she ordered. Full spectrum. I want to know what caused the power failure. The scans are being blocked, a technician reported. We can only see what they want us to see. Lyra turned to Intelligence Chief Marzak, whose expression remained carefully neutral despite the clear, I told you so, he could have voiced. Your assessment, Marzak? The humans are not what they appear to be, he said simply. They have technology capable of disabling our ships. They have been hiding their true capabilities. Lyra slammed her fist on a console. Impossible. Our scouts reported primitive technology. Their vehicles still burn fuel. Their weapons use gunpowder and basic explosives. All part of the deception, Marzak suggested. As I said before we arrived, Earth is a trap. On the surface, Ambassador Zex tried to maintain the appearance of calm during the ongoing talks with Dr. Price and the human delegation. But his frequent checks of his communication device betrayed his growing concern. We should continue our cultural exchange, Dr. Price suggested smoothly. Perhaps you could tell us more about how planets join your empire? Is it always voluntary? Zex hesitated, sensing the hidden question. The Viridian Empire offers protection and technology to all who join. Most species recognize the benefits immediately. And those who don't? Dr. Price asked innocently. Before Zex could answer, His communication device chimed urgently. The message was brief but alarming. Possible hostile action. Prepare for extraction. I must return to my ship, Zex announced, standing abruptly. We will continue these discussions later. Dr. Price nodded politely. Of course, Ambassador. We understand. Space travel must present many unexpected challenges. In the true command center below, General Rogers watched the exchange on monitors. When Zex and his security team left the room, she turned to Colonel Baker. They're getting nervous. Time to escalate. Captain Miller, are you in position? Frank Miller's voice came through clearly from the communications system. He was no longer in Earth's atmosphere, but piloting a spacecraft hidden on the far side of the moon. Ready and waiting, General. The Defender is fully armed, and our sister. Ships are in formation. Move on the disabled cruiser, Rogers ordered. Capture if possible. Show them what we can really do. In orbit, the crew of the powerless Starfire cruiser worked desperately to restore systems. Without warning, their external cameras showed 5 spacecraft approaching. Human spacecraft that were not supposed to exist. The ships were smaller than Viridian vessels but moved with precision and speed that no primitive species should possess. The lead ship broadcast on Viridian frequencies. This is Captain Frank Miller of Earth Defense Fleet. Your ship is disabled. Surrender or be destroyed. The Viridian captain stared in disbelief at the human ships. They were obviously military vessels with weapons pointed directly at his cruiser. This is impossible, he whispered. They're not supposed to have this technology. On Commander Lyra's flagship, the situation was becoming clearer and more alarming by the minute. Commander, 5 unknown vessels have surrounded the Starfire. They appear to be Earth ships, but they match nothing in our intelligence reports. Show me, Lyra demanded. The screen displayed the human ships in formation around the disabled cruiser. Their design was elegant and deadly, showing technology that should be centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. Order all ships to battle stations, Lyra commanded. Target those vessels and destroy them. The Viridian warships moved to attack positions and fired energy weapons at the Earth fleet. But something strange happened. The energy beams seemed to bend around the human ships without causing damage. Direct hits, called out a weapons officer before pausing in confusion. No. Wait. No damage registered. Intelligence Chief Marzak studied the sensor readings carefully. They appear to have some kind of energy deflection technology. Our weapons are being redirected away from their hulls. Impossible, Lyra shouted. They are primitives. No, Marzak said firmly. They want us to think they are primitives. This was their plan all along. In the underground command center, Dr. Sharon Ellis monitored the energy readings from the Viridian weapons fire. She had spent years studying alien technology recovered from previous encounters, and now her work was being put to the test. Deflection shields holding at 97% efficiency, she reported. Their weapons are exactly as the Centauri refugees described. We can maintain this defense indefinitely. General Rogers nodded with satisfaction. Good. Activate the next phase. Let's show them our offensive capabilities, but only at 30% power. We don't want to reveal everything yet. Lieutenant Grace Williams, who had returned from the surface meeting, entered commands into her console. Energy disruptors charging. Target locked on the Viridian flagship's weapons systems only. Fire, Rogers ordered. From what looked like ordinary communications satellites in Earth orbit, invisible beams of concentrated energy shot toward the Viridian flagship. The ship's exterior showed no damage, but inside, weapon systems began to fail one by one. Commander Lyra watched in growing horror as her bridge displays went dark. What's happening? Our weapons are being systematically disabled, an officer reported. Some kind of targeted energy weapon we've never encountered before. Ambassador Zex, who had just returned to the flagship via shuttle, rushed onto the bridge. Commander, we must withdraw. The humans are not what they seem. We do not retreat, Lyra said coldly, but uncertainty had crept into her voice. On the Starfire cruiser, the Viridian captain faced a difficult choice as Captain Miller's ship docked with his disabled vessel. Sir, they've attached to our airlock, his security chief reported. They're requesting permission to board and offer assistance. They claim they can restore our power. It could be a trap, the security chief warned. The captain laughed bitterly. Of course it's a trap. This entire planet is a trap, but we have no choice. When the airlock opened, Captain Miller stepped through with 4 human soldiers. They carried advanced weapons unlike anything the Viridians had seen in their intelligence reports on Earth. Your ship is under our control, Miller said calmly. We can restore your life support and basic functions, but your weapons and engines will remain disabled. Any attempt to resist will result in complete power loss, including life support. The Viridian captain studied Miller's face, seeing no fear, only confidence. Who are you people? How do you have this technology? Miller smiled slightly. Earth has many secrets. Your empire should have listened to the warnings. In the command center, Colonel Baker reported new developments. General, our sensors detect the Viridians are preparing their main fleet weapon, some kind of gravitational disruptor. Let them try it, Rogers said. Dr. Ellis, prepare the quantum shield. Dr. Ellis nodded and activated a series of commands. Ready, General. On the Viridian flagship, Commander Lyra had made her decision. Prepare the planetary subjugator. If we can't have this world, we will make an example of it. Marzak stepped forward. Commander, I must object. We don't know what other technologies they might have. Your objections are noted and ignored, Lyra snapped. Fire the subjugator. The flagship released a massive pulse of energy designed to disrupt a planet's gravitational field, enough to cause worldwide earthquakes and tsunami. It was the ultimate weapon in the Viridian arsenal, never before used, but theoretically, capable of bringing any world to its knees. The energy pulse headed toward Earth, growing in intensity. But as it reached the upper atmosphere, it encountered an invisible barrier. The pulse spread across the shield like ripples in a pond, dissipating harmlessly. On the flagship's bridge, stunned silence fell as officers watched their ultimate weapon fail completely. That's not possible, Lyra whispered. Marzak turned to her, his expression grave. I warned you. Earth is a trap, and we have fallen into it completely. Commander Lyra stared at the view screen in disbelief. Their planetary subjugator, a weapon that could destroy entire civilizations, had been completely neutralized. Earth remained untouched, and now more human ships were appearing from hidden locations around the solar system. We have been deceived, Lyra admitted finally. She turned to Intelligence Chief Marzak. Your warnings were correct. How did we miss this? They wanted us to miss it, Marzak said. Everything we saw was carefully arranged to make us underestimate them. The primitive technology, the political divisions, the limited space capabilities, all part of an elaborate deception. The bridge communication system activated with an incoming message from Earth. General Susan Rogers appeared on the screen, her expression calm and professional in her military uniform. Commander Lyra, this is General Rogers of Earth Defense Command. Your attack on our planet has failed. Your ship is now surrounded by our fleet, and we have captured one of your cruisers. I suggest you consider your options carefully. Lyra straightened her posture, determined to maintain dignity even in this unexpected situation. What are our options, General? You have 2 choices, Rogers replied. First, you can surrender and agree to diplomatic negotiations for your safe departure from our solar system. Second, you can continue hostilities, in which case we will be forced to demonstrate our full military capabilities. You expect me to believe that you haven't already shown your full capabilities? Lyra asked. General Rogers smiled slightly. Commander, what you've seen represents less than 30% of our defensive systems. We prefer peaceful solutions, but we are fully prepared for alternatives. As if to emphasize her point, more Earth ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. Some appeared from behind planets and moons. Others seemed to materialize from nowhere, deactivating cloaking technology that the Viridians had believed was theoretical at best. I will need time to consult with my officers, Lyra said, trying to hide her growing fear. You have 1 Earth hour, Rogers replied before ending the transmission. Lyra turned to her command staff. Options. Marzak stepped forward. Commander, I believe the humans are telling the truth about holding back their full capabilities. Our scans detect energy signatures unlike anything we've encountered before. And there's something else. He activated a display showing unusual readings from Earth's moon. These energy patterns suggest large-scale facilities hidden beneath the lunar surface. If these are weapons platforms, they could destroy our entire fleet with ease. We cannot surrender to primitives, argued the weapons officer. The Empire has never been defeated. These are not primitives, Ambassador Zex countered. That is precisely the point. They wanted us to believe they were technologically inferior. But now I'm beginning to understand. Earth has been collecting and developing technologies from across the galaxy. In the captured Viridian cruiser, Captain Frank Miller watched as Dr. Kevin Russell examined the alien technology. Russell was Earth's leading expert on extraterrestrial civilizations, having worked closely with refugee scientists from multiple worlds. "This is fascinating," Russell said as he studied the ship's database. "According to these records, the Viridian Empire has conquered 17 worlds in the past decade alone. They follow the same pattern each time: scout the planet, assess its technology, and then decide whether to offer alliance or simply take what they want." Miller nodded grimly. "Just like the Centauri refugees told us, the Viridians present themselves as benevolent when dealing with advanced civilizations but show their true colors when they think a world is defenseless. The difference is that most worlds actually are what they appear to be," Russell said. "Earth is the only planet that deliberately hides its technological advancement." Lieutenant Olivia Martinez joined them, carrying a datapad with new information. "Captain, you need to see this. The ship's records include detailed plans for mining operations on Earth. They were going to strip mine entire continents." Miller's expression hardened. "Send all of this to General Rogers. The Viridians need to understand that we know exactly what they intended for our planet." In the underground command center, General Rogers reviewed the information from the captured cruiser with Colonel Baker and Dr. Sharon Ellis. "So they weren't just planning to conquer us," Baker said, looking at the mining plans. "They were going to exploit Earth until nothing of value remained." "Like they did to 17 other worlds," Rogers said. "But there's something else here. That's interesting." She pulled up a star chart from the Viridian database. "Look at this. Several of the worlds they've conquered are listed as evacuated, with notes about missing population elements." Dr. Ellis studied the chart carefully. "The refugees we've been sheltering, they're from these worlds. The Viridians think they simply escaped, but they don't know where they went." "They came here," Rogers said. "Earth has become a sanctuary for species fleeing the Viridian Empire, and each group brought their technology and knowledge with them, which we've incorporated into our defenses," Ellis finished. "No wonder the Viridians were completely unprepared for what they encountered." On the Viridian flagship, the hour was nearly up. Commander Lyra had reached her decision. "We cannot win this battle," she told her officers. "The humans have technology from multiple worlds, possibly including some we've conquered. Our best option is to agree to their terms and retreat." "The Emperor will not be pleased," the weapons officer warned. "The Emperor would be even less pleased." "If we lost the entire fleet," Lyra replied sharply, "we will withdraw, but this isn't over. We'll return with a larger force once we understand what we're truly facing." When General Rogers appeared on the communication screen again, Lyra spoke with forced confidence. "We accept your first option. We will cease hostilities and enter diplomatic negotiations for our departure." "A wise choice," Rogers said, as, a show of good faith, we will restore limited power to your disabled cruiser and allow it to rejoin your fleet. Ambassador Zex is welcome to return to Earth for discussions about the terms of your departure." After the communication ended, Intelligence Chief Marzak approached Lyra privately. "Commander, there's something you should know. During our last scan of Earth, I detected unusual biosignatures, non-human life forms living among the human population." "What are you saying?" Lyra asked. "I believe Earth is harboring refugees from the worlds we've conquered," Marzak explained. "The humans haven't just been collecting technology, they've been providing sanctuary to those fleeing our expansion." Lyra considered this disturbing information. So Earth isn't just a military trap, it's a refuge for our enemies. The Emperor must be informed immediately. As the Viridian ship prepared for diplomatic talks, Dr. Russell was briefing General Rogers about what he had learned from the captured ship's database. The Viridian Empire is larger than we thought, he explained. Over 300 worlds, with more being added constantly. They're one of the most aggressive expansionist powers in this sector of the galaxy. Then we need to be prepared for the possibility that they'll return with a larger force, Rogers said. There's something else, Russell added. According to their historical records, the Viridians themselves were once conquered by another empire. They overthrew their oppressors, and then became exactly like them, conquering other worlds to expand their territory and resources. History repeating itself, Rogers mused. Let's make sure Earth doesn't follow the same pattern. As Ambassador Zex's shuttle prepared to return to Earth for negotiations, he looked out at the blue planet below. What had seemed like an easy conquest now represented something else entirely, a world of hidden strengths and deadly secrets. Earth wasn't just a trap, it was a warning to the entire galaxy. 3 weeks had passed since the failed Viridian invasion. Ambassador Zex sat in a large conference room within the real Earth command facility, no longer hidden from the alien visitors. Around him were not just humans but representatives of 7 different alien species, all refugees from worlds conquered by the Viridian Empire. Zex tried to hide his shock as General Rogers introduced the others. This is Telmar, formerly chief scientist of Proxima Colony before your empire destroyed their research facilities, Rogers said, gesturing to a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms. And this is Kren, last surviving member of the Rigelian High Council, she continued, indicating a small creature with bright green eyes. Each introduction was another blow to Zex's understanding of the situation. These were not just random refugees. They were leaders, scientists, and warriors from the very worlds the Viridians had conquered, and all had found sanctuary on Earth. Commander Lyra entered the room, escorted by Captain Frank Miller and 2 human guards. She retained her proud posture despite being effectively a prisoner. Her eyes widened slightly at seeing the gathered aliens, but she quickly composed herself. Commander Lyra, General Rogers began formally. You have violated Earth's sovereignty and attempted an unauthorized conquest of our planet. Under normal circumstances, this would be considered an act of war. Is this where you pronounce our punishment? Lyra asked coldly. No, Rogers replied. This is where we offer you a choice. Dr. Kevin Russell activated a display showing detailed scans of the Viridian fleet. Your ships remain disabled but intact. We could destroy them easily, but that is not our way. Instead, we propose an alternative. Lyra studied the human with suspicion. What alternative? Earth is not what you believed it to be, Russell explained. For over 70 years, we have been providing refuge to species fleeing imperial expansion, not just yours, but others throughout this sector of the galaxy. The crash at Roswell in 1947 was not our first contact with alien life, Rogers continued. It was simply the first one we couldn't keep completely secret. Since then, Earth has become a hidden sanctuary. In exchange for shelter, our visitors have shared their knowledge and technology. Dr. Sharon Ellis stepped forward. This is why we appeared primitive on the surface but possessed advanced defensive capabilities. We show potential conquerors what they expect to see, an easy target. Those who ignore the warnings and attack anyway discover our true strength. And now you expect me to beg for mercy? Lyra asked. No, Rogers said firmly. We expect you to listen to an offer. Captain Miller activated another display showing the true extent of Earth's defenses. Massive installations hidden beneath the lunar surface, fleets of advanced ships concealed behind Jupiter, and orbital platforms with weapons capable of destroying stars. We could annihilate your empire, Miller said calmly. But again, that's not our way. Instead, we propose a new relationship, one built on cooperation rather than conquest. Lieutenant Olivia Martinez presented a data tablet with a formal document. This is a proposal for the Viridian Empire to join what we call the Galactic Cooperative, an alliance of worlds dedicated to mutual advancement and protection. Lyra laughed bitterly. And why would the Empire agree to this? Because the alternative is destruction, Intelligence Chief Marzak said. entering the room. He had been granted permission to inspect Earth's true capabilities over the past week, and had seen things that had changed his perspective entirely. Chief Marzak, Lyra acknowledged with surprise. You support this? I have seen what they can do, Marzak replied seriously. The humans and their allies possess technology centuries beyond our understanding. They could have destroyed our fleet in seconds, yet they chose restraint. He activated his own data device, showing recordings he had made. They have weapons that can selectively target any system on any ship without causing collateral damage. They have defensive shields that can withstand direct hits from our planetary subjugator, and they have faster-than-light travel systems that make our best drives look primitive. From a side door, a small group of aliens entered, the crew of the captured Viridian cruiser. They had been treated well, given comfortable quarters rather than prison cells. The humans saved the Starfire crew, the Viridian captain explained. When life support was failing, they could have let us die. Instead, they risked their own lives to rescue us. Ambassador Zex studied the document on the tablet. This cooperative, how does it function? Professor Paul Martinez, Earth's leading expert on interspecies relations, explained. Each world maintains its sovereignty. No conquests, no forced integration. We share knowledge, resources, and protection. The strong defend the weak until they can defend themselves. A naive concept, Lyra scoffed. The galaxy doesn't work this way. It can, said a new voice. An elderly human entered, leaning on a walking cane. It must if our species are to survive. This is Dr. Samuel Wright, General Rogers introduced. He was present at Roswell in 1947 and helped establish our first alien refugee program. I've seen what happens when civilizations choose dominance over cooperation, Wright said softly. The Viridian Empire itself was once the victim of conquest, was it not? And how did you respond? By becoming conquerors yourselves, continuing the cycle of violence. Lyra looked away, unable to deny the truth of his words. We offer you a choice, Wright continued. Return to your empire with a warning about Earth's power, leading to an eventual conflict that will destroy millions of lives, or return as ambassadors of a new approach, one that breaks the cycle of conquest and retribution. The Emperor would never agree, Lyra said, but with less conviction than before. Perhaps not immediately, Marzak suggested, but when presented with evidence of Earth's capabilities and the benefits of cooperation versus the costs of war. Ambassador Zex studied the faces around him. Humans and aliens working together, former enemies, now allies. There is another factor to consider, Commander. Many of the worlds we've conquered may prefer this cooperative approach. If given a choice, they might rebel against the Empire. Precisely, General Rogers said. We're not asking you to surrender. We're offering you the chance to be part of something better than conquest. Lyra stood silently for a long moment, weighing her options. Finally, she looked at General Rogers directly. I cannot make this decision alone. I must return to the Empire with this proposal. Of course, Rogers agreed. But understand this. If you return with a fleet intent on conquest, you will find Earth ready, and we will not show the same restraint twice. And if I return as an advocate for this, cooperative, Lyra asked, then you will find eager allies ready to help the Viridian people transition to a new role in the galaxy, Dr. Wright said gently. Not as conquerors, but as partners. 1 week later, Commander Lyra's flagship prepared to depart Earth orbit. The rest of the Viridian fleet remained behind as a gesture of good faith and as insurance. Ambassador Zex had elected to stay on Earth to continue discussions, while Lyra returned home with Intelligence Chief Marzak. On the bridge of her ship, Lyra looked at the blue planet below. They could have destroyed us, she said quietly. Yes, Marzak agreed. Instead, they showed us another way. Will the Emperor listen, she wondered. He must, Marzak replied, for the sake of our people. As the Viridian ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, General Rogers stood in the command center with Captain Miller and Dr. Wright. Do you think they'll return in peace? Miller asked. I hope so, Rogers said. But either way, Earth will be ready. Dr. Wright smiled. The sign we placed on the edge of our solar system says it all. On an asteroid at the edge of Earth's solar system, a simple marker had been placed years ago. It contained a universal warning in the languages of 100 worlds: beware. Earth is a trap for conquerors, but a haven for friends.